This podcast is sponsored by Lucy and Yak, and I'm so excited to share their Indie Biz program with you. Running an independent business means making tough choices, and sustainable options aren't always the most affordable. That's why Lucy and Yak are offering 40% off their sustainably made workwear, including aprons, so you don't have to compromise. Sign up to Indie Biz, and not only will you get the discount, but you could also be featured across Lucy and Yak's channels, spotlighting your business. Plus, they've got exciting plans for 2025, including Indie Biz markets. Head to the Lucy and Yak website to apply and join the community. Have you ever spent hours creating the perfect Instagram post and got crickets? Same. Imagine this instead. A fashion brand sets up a What's Your Style personality quiz using Score app. Shoppers get personalised product recommendations and you get email sign-ups, warm leads and a few cheeky sales. You can even use Score app for product waitlists, competitions and so much more. It's the perfect lead generation tool for your fashion brand. So head to scoreapp.com/fashion and get an exclusive 50% off your first month with Score app, or use the code FASHION at the checkout. So, welcome to the Fashion Brand Clinic, Sophia. This is the podcast for fashion brand founders who are ready to scale with less stress and more strategy. And today I'm joined by someone who's built a lingerie empire from her bedroom to over 2 million in sales. Sofia Panwar, the founder of Unndr. And if you've ever wondered what it really takes to grow a subscription-based brand and build a loyal community while scaling fast, this one is for you. So, welcome, Sophia.
Hi, Elizabeth. How are you?
Applause. I'm good, thank you. So, let's go back to when you went from law to lingerie.
Oh, what a time that was.
What a time to be alive.
Yeah.
So, how did you navigate that career pivot, let's call it?
It's interesting because I don't think I ever really did at the time, because I sort of started Unndr at the same time as being in my legal career. So I almost was balancing the two and just seeing at the time what I preferred doing. So it was a bit of a calculated risk in the sense that I was working out how to be a lawyer at the same time as working out how to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
So it was quite exciting in the way I sort of had two jobs on the go. And it wasn't until that I just found the corporate life of my law job to be a bit mundane. It was a bit boring. I didn't like being told what to do.
No.
There were certain things like that where I was like, I don't know if this is for me. And then this other side of my life, I was a bit like Hannah Montana, honestly. I had two lives. I was doing law in the day and then entrepreneurism in the night.
Yeah.
But I just really thoroughly enjoyed the business side of things. I loved being creative. I loved having the space to do what I wanted to do and to build something that was really for me. And I think naturally me pivoting from law to being an entrepreneur, it came so naturally. It was almost like a natural progression. I understood what I didn't like. I understood what I liked. And then I ended up quitting that job and then starting Unndr. Yeah.
Yes. So what was the moment that started the idea to even begin a side hustle in the first place?
I think it came from a place of unhappiness in my job.
Yeah.
But it also kind of stemmed back to lockdown, where I had this idea of wanting to make women feel empowered through lingerie, because it was something that I found through myself in lockdown. We were spending so much time on ourselves, self-care, all of that good stuff. And I worked out that lingerie was missing from that routine. I think the routine of self-care is amazing for so many women, but it's so standard in the sense that it's you have a bath, you do a face mask, and you do all that.
It's quite 80s in a way.
Yeah, it's quite
Yeah.
classic. Can't go wrong with it. And it was during that time where I just picked up some lingerie and I put it on for myself. And it leveled up myself. It leveled up my confidence, who I was as a woman. And I kind of sat on that idea because it worked for me, but I wasn't sure if it was going to work for everybody else. But then it wasn't until I got into the job where I felt this pressure of not liking what I was doing to then maybe dip my toe into starting a side hustle and just seeing how it went. And that's why I did it at the same time. But I think it was good that I slightly dipped my toe in, because this got me to where I am today.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And it's like, because you really hated that job, right? Like, you went through workplace bullying.
Yeah.
And so it was more than, there was a reason that you were craving that self-care like so much.
Absolutely.
And I very much relate to workplace bullying, and
I
for the
know.
reason you want to leave as well. So I guess there is like a lot of emotional attachment with the business as well, about what it means to you.
Yeah, 100%. There's so much emotional attachment, I think, because it came from a place of a lack of confidence, utilizing lingerie to find that confidence. Now that I've built this brand that embodied how I was feeling, there's so much emotion behind what I do. And I think the community really feels that on socials, and they feel that online. And I think when other women then experienced this subscription and they found out how they could feel, it almost was a confirmation to me that I did the right thing in leaving that job and doing this amazing
I think so too.
Lingerie.
I think it might have been a good answer. Yeah. And this brand has grown incredibly fast. What do you think has contributed to the rapid growth of the business?
I think at the beginning it came down to a few things. I think when I started Unndr, I knew that I wanted to cut through the noise of what everybody else was doing. That was first and foremost. And I remember sitting down thinking, okay, cool. I've got this new novel idea, which is great, and I think it's going to help women. But what can I do to actually stand out? Because I didn't have any investment. I only had the money that I had from my job, which wasn't enough to sort of go out there and buy the stock I needed and do all the things that you need to basically run a business. And I just told the story online, and it kind of then, I guess women really resonated from where I was coming from.
Yeah.
And
when you say online, are you mainly saying TikTok, do you think?
I think Instagram and TikTok.
Yeah.
So they really resonated with it. But then I was like, how can I take that one step further? So I thought about things I could do differently. Packaging was the one thing that came into my mind, because I think so many brands, you know, when you get a normal delivery from anywhere, you kind of just get it in a brown kind of bag or a poly mailer bag, and that's about it. But I knew that when I wanted to do Unndr, I wanted to give women this subscription experience, this self-care experience, that it needs to be more than just lingerie coming to your door. And it was actually the packaging that made us go viral on Instagram.
Oh, we got tell us what happened.
It was a 6-second video of this nice little box. I had designed it myself. All I did was, I think I span it slightly and I opened the lid and I closed the lid, and that was it. 6 seconds. And I think the video got maybe 15 million views just off of that one box.
Wow.
I didn't even show the lingerie in the box.
Yeah.
Just the packaging.
Yeah.
And then I think once the women started following, they understood the journey, they understood the whole business as it was, and then we just started growing like crazy. All videos after that were just going viral. The message was really resonating with women. But I think TikTok originally was amazing as a starting point, but then for some reason Instagram just completely took off. Both are great, but I really do like Instagram. It's got a special place in my heart.
Does it? I thought you would say the other way around.
No. I don't mind TikTok, although I have a different opinion about Instagram now because of the algorithm, but we'll probably get into that.
Yeah, we can get into that.
But I guess they're both two very different platforms, aren't they? I mean, they're for two different things. I think TikTok is great for that more personality, funnier side of who you are, who the business is. But Instagram's a little bit more fine polished, although I am finding that the algorithm's changing slightly on Instagram. So I'm finding that our funnier content is now doing well on there. So I don't know. Now the whole thing is really confusing.
I know.
I'm just so confused
I had
now.
a very clear strategy about what these two things do, and now it's all a bit blurry.
Yeah.
I agree with you, because it's like I'm starting to get the hang of one and then the other. Anyway.
Yeah.
So with all of that madness of this 6-second 15 million video, it's grown hugely. So how did you maintain your focus during that growth, or did it feel manic?
I think it definitely felt manic, but I think I was so ready for what had come even though I wasn't expecting it, I almost embraced it and I took it in my stride. I was like, right, this has been handed to me. This is a blessing. I'm going to see this as an absolute blessing and just take it by the reins.
Yeah.
It was difficult to have the infrastructure in place. And I think when you do go from doing maybe 2 or 3 sales in a day to then doing like 200 in a day, when you're at home, it's just you and your dad and your sister just packing some boxes. It's a lot, but I don't think it didn't really affect me in a negative way. It was really positive. It was like fuel to the fire. I was like, let's go, like, let's get this infrastructure. Let's get the 3PL. Let's get someone to help me with customer service. It was just like, go, go, go.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I think also if you've had a terrible job,
exactly.
nothing can be as bad as that. Like, I know the feeling, I think, of like hitting rock bottom in the workplace. And so even if I have a really terrible day now, it's really not that terrible. Like,
Absolutely.
I'm not crying. If I'm not crying, it's fine.
Exactly. Often my dad always says to me when I'm having a bad day, he's like, would you rather be back in that job? And I'm always like, no.
Nope.
And so,
I mean, even when you came in earlier, you were like, I woke up, it's a Monday.
Exactly.
I did some work from my bed.
Like, you can't complain.
I know.
You can't complain. I know
Take
there's
the
a
good
lot
with
of
the rough.
Absolutely. There's so much rough, but I think it's what comes with the job, isn't it? It's just, it comes with the title. You get to have this amazing sense of freedom to do what you want to do, but it also comes at a cost as well. And I think sometimes those lows, they might not be the same lows as when you were in that corporate, and it might be a bit more of a stressful low because it's on your shoulders. At the end of the day, it is such a blessing that you get to be your own boss and you get to actually go out there and change the world. And sometimes it does come with the negatives too, but it's kind of, you've got to have both sides of the coin.
Yeah, and you appreciate the high highs.
Yeah.
And so from a personal point of view then, what has been the biggest challenge for you personally as the business has grown?
Good question. I think as much as I said before that I took it in my stride when we grew rapidly, you know, we made mistakes. And I think having to accept that you were going to make mistakes is something that was really difficult for me to overcome. I think I've always been quite a perfectionist, and even from a young age, I don't like disappointing anybody or letting people down. And
I think a lot of entrepreneurs are quite people pleasing.
Yeah,
like, I'm getting to know
isn't
that.
it?
Yeah.
And I'm like a people pleaser towards myself. Like, I want to make myself, you know, happy as well. And and I feel like in that instance, or in those kind of couple of months where, you know, we were making mistakes because I didn't know what was, you know, how to scale up a business. I was only doing it from my bedroom, and then we were having so many orders that I had to make all these decisions. I didn't know if they were the right decisions. I didn't know if they were the right jobs that needed to be fulfilled at that time. And you make mistakes and you make people unhappy. And I found that really personally quite difficult.
It's brutal. Somebody said to me, starting a business is the most brutal form of therapy, because you have to really face all the things that you're really good at, but also the things that you're shit at, basically.
Absolutely.
And it's like, oh, I didn't realize I was shit at that.
Yeah,
now I know.
Now I know. Thanks for letting me know.
Yeah, cool. So you mentioned there, like, having to let some people go and building the team. So you've also been very open about having some cash flow challenges during this growth, which is very understandable considering the business is so new. People don't always talk about the cash flow thing. So what's been your approach to managing cash flow generally? Let's start with, and then maybe we could get into it a little bit more.
I think it goes back to what you said, in the sense that realizing the things you're not good at. And the things I'm not good at is I'm not good at my numbers.
Yeah.
And I've had to sit myself down and not be scared of my numbers. I have to face my fears. And actually, I look at my numbers every single day now.
Well done.
Yeah.
Gold
and
star.
I'm really proud of myself.
You
because that, if you had told me to open up my numbers like a few months ago, the thought of it, I would have rather have just curled up in my bed and said, no, I don't want to look at them. But I think, you know, you're a business owner and you've got certain, you know, hats you have to wear. You have to look at your numbers. You have to understand the numbers in order to run your business. And I think when I understood that numbers are not always scary, because numbers can often show you where the problem is, but then can point you towards a solution. I almost had to rewire my brain to how I viewed my numbers, and how me looking at my numbers is not a bad thing. It's okay, cool, this is where you're at. Now, how can I use these numbers to try and help me understand where I want to be, and saw it as maybe like a tool to be able to find a solution.
So what was an example of it? Like, if it's only a couple of months ago, it must be relatively fresh in your mind. What did you where did you start?
Oh, so that's I started with Google Sheets.
Yeah.
A brilliant place to start.
Yeah.
I then opened up my bank accounts and I said, okay, cool. What's the money coming in? What's the money going out? When are the bills coming out? And when are the payments coming in? Because I was just honestly living life like, okay, money's coming out here, there, and everywhere, and didn't actually understand the timings of everything. Because when you understand the timings of when your money comes in, your money comes out, you can then understand your cash flow. Yeah. And I think it was not wanting to understand it from a place of scaredness, but to put that scaredness to the side and say, I'm not going to deal with this with my emotions right now. I'm going to deal with this as a business owner. Put my business cap on. This isn't personal to you, Sophia. This is your business.
Yeah, it's just facts.
It's just facts. Yeah. It's just facts. And I had some really good help from Jess on my team. She's part of my operation. She's head of operations, but she's honestly like my inside therapist and just all things. She's like a best
just there
friend.
like stroking your hair while you're looking at the spreadsheets.
Honestly, like we sit on that Google sheet together. She even helped me with the layout, made it into pretty colours. Oh. They looked way less scary when it was in pink. It looked so nice. But yeah, just I think understanding when those payments are coming out, when they're coming in, and just laying it on the table and just seeing what your costs are.
And what did you find?
Oh, found out I was overspending. Surprise, surprise. I think when I grew very quickly, I wanted to make the most out of the growth. And that meant hiring people, that meant hiring, so many things, whether that was PR or really fancy agencies to do my ads. And there were just so many things that money was being spent on, but was I seeing that return? No. So it was about kind of really sitting down, understanding, okay, cool, is this bringing me a return on investment? If not, it's got to go. Yeah. And I had to sort of sit down with myself and ask myself honestly, are you just keeping it there because it's comfortable for you and you don't want to have that hard conversation, or do you want to do what's right for the business? So it kind of came down to one of two things, and I had to again put that business cap on and say, I've got to do what's right for my business. And if that means that I have to lay people off and do a couple of things like that, it's not nice. It's really not nice personally, but I'm not doing it personally either. It's like you've kind of got to I've really been navigating how to take my emotions away from my business, because as I said at the beginning, there's so much emotion tied up with this business, because I feel so attached to it, in the sense that I feel like my business is me, but I honestly sometimes need to take a step away and say, no, it's actually not. A lot of people don't realize I'm running the business, especially on socials, because I talk about the story less, my personal story. I talk about it less on Unndr's page now, and I try and focus on my own pages, and I keep Unndr's pages quiet to do with the product. So it has sort of moved away from there. But
do you think separating your socials has helped mentally separate the emotions from it?
Definitely.
Yeah, it's interesting. I actually did a post on socials recently. Do you watch Below Deck?
No, but I know about it. I've got a couple of friends that watch.
One of the captains, she's called Captain Sandy, and she's so good at separating the emotions from the business side of things. And I did this whole post about her, about how great she is as a leader and having difficult conversations. And I was like, fuck it, I'm just going to invite her as a collaborator, and she accepted. And I was like, oh my
Oh my goodness.
and so now it's on her. My little carousel is about how great of a leader she is. But honestly, it's well worth watching Below Deck just to learn from her about how to be an incredible like female leader. I think she does it so well, and she does what you said about like, from a personal point of view, I really, really like you. From a business point of view, you need to go.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You need to leave.
Yeah, you need to leave now. But she's great. I love her. So what does your team look like now?
So at the moment, we have 5 girls, and we've got...
Including you?
Excluding me.
Yeah.
So we've got the 5 girls that do a mixture of... they have their own roles, but they dibble and dabble into each other's, because that's what it is when you're a small team. Yeah. Everybody sort of takes on what they are capable of doing, and sometimes if resources are low, you know, everybody sort of jumps ship. But we have a mixture of operations, customer service, lingerie design, social media, email marketing, and paid socials.
Yeah. So you brought that back in-house.
Yeah. I thought it was the best thing to do.
Yeah.
And I think it is the better thing to do as well. And that paid social side of things, I'm still navigating. I'm still working out how to crack the code on that one, but I feel like I'm getting there with that.
Yeah, well, you've got way more control over it,
Absolutely.
seeing it day to day than like a report once a month or something.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah. And so what is your role in the business?
So my role at the moment is, it's still very much in everywhere, but I like to know what's going on from sort of, how should I say this, like an overview point of view. Yeah. I've got these girls in place because I really need them to put in the groundwork of finding out the answers and coming to me with solutions, basically. I think I did spend a lot of last year deep in a lot of maybe the issues that I don't think I should have been deep in, because it was stumping my creativity. It was affecting my mental health. I think I was just involved in too much, honestly. It became a lot. And I think once you sit down with your team and sort of have that conversation and then understand, you know, if this is going on, I want you to deal with it unless the house is on fire, then come to me, kind of thing. And it was about having those sort of barriers in place. And I needed to respect that for myself, because I think if I didn't, I was going to go insane. Yeah. Obviously, I know everything that's going on, but I think it was getting to a point where I was maybe knowing a little bit too much. And actually then by the time it got resolved, maybe it was something I just didn't need to know, and it just affected me the whole day.
It's like when you go on holiday and somebody texts you being like, where's that pink bra? And I don't know, you just think, I'm going to leave that for an hour, and then somebody sends you a message, don't worry, I found it.
That's exactly what I'm trying to get at.
I'm not even going to answer that, because it's just pointless.
It's pointless. But I think aside from that, my head is very much in the creativity of the business, the marketing. I love being involved in, you know, what's going out on socials, how are we executing it. Can I be in the socials? Yes. Like, you know, I love being in all the socials and taking that opportunity to speak and represent the brand, and just also being a strategist. Is that the right word?
Yeah, that's a hard word to say. Yeah.
Yeah. And just understanding where I want to take the brand, always being, you know, on my toes about what I want to be potentially doing, and, you know, thinking ahead, October, November, December time. I'm always wanting to be like 6 months ahead in my head. So I kind of spend my days making sure that the long-term picture is there, but it takes longer than, you know, you think it would. So I tend to spend my days doing more of the long-term goals.
That's of so Unndr, good.
Really,
that's what you should be doing.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah, as I said, I don't know if what I do is completely correct, but it's what works for
definitely
me.
Yeah. And you mentioned about socials there, and like you love getting involved in it, but obviously due to the nature of your product, it's quite hard to sell lingerie online, because one, nobody wants, well, I say nobody, so it's quite difficult to find somebody that's happy to be snapped in their underwear and show it off.
Yeah.
And you get banned for it being sexualized. So you're very creative with the way that you, I even say show your underwear, but you don't even really show it that much. Like, it's so clever the way you do it. So what's the thought process that you kind of go through when you're promoting a new launch or kind of getting around all these obstacles you've got in your way?
I think it really comes down to thinking outside the box. And as you said, you know, we've done so many campaigns, like the Princess and the Pea campaign that did really well with the mattresses. And
or for anyone that doesn't know it, tell us a little bit about it.
So I did a campaign in December, and it was for the launch of our December set. It was based around the concept of the Princess and the Pea. So when we did the marketing, I really wanted to play into that storyline, and we had 5 mattresses stacked up in my office with beautiful sheets, some really nice trinkets and books, and we had the model in the lingerie on top of on the mattress. But it's about thinking of unconventional ways of doing things that has not been seen, for me anyway, in lingerie.
And me.
Yeah, exactly.
I've never seen anyone do that.
I tried to think as much as I can outside the box, and just to really, as I said, cut through that noise. I think in lingerie anyway, the marketing is very much the same.
It's quite predictable.
Very predictable. And I think that's what's helped Unndr leave a mark in people's heads, because of how unique that I've come to sort of disrupt how things have being done normally, and just do them my way and be artistic about it. I really loved art at school as well. That was one thing that I really did enjoy. I'm not a huge drawer. I wouldn't say I'm like A-star material.
No, me neither.
But I do love art, and I think having this brand has really allowed me to unlock not only the creativity in the lingerie designs, but then to also bring it out in marketing, because marketing is such a big thing of any business these days, and it's really what's going to get you noticed. So if there's anything I'm going to put my time into, it's definitely those marketing campaigns.
Noticed. Yeah. Because I think you're right. There's like really sexy sort of agent provocateur, and that's very predictable. But then there's also like cool sort of sporty Calvin Klein thing that's like not, I don't know, it's got a different vibe. And then there's like the mum market, but I don't know, you've almost like carved out this whole other market for yourself, where it's like ticks all the boxes. Like you could be a mum and sexy and cool at the same time, and then if you are all of those things, then you go to Unndr.
Yeah, exactly.
So other than socials then, what about email marketing? How big a part of your business is that, or is it something that you want to work on moving forward? Or
I think we use email marketing once a week. We've been seeing really good results from email marketing. I think a lot of people say that they see like 20% of their revenue from email marketing. I wouldn't say ours is that high. There's probably some work to do in that sector.
But also you're a different model because it's subscription.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's hard to compare.
It's really hard to compare. Yeah, that is actually true. I've not thought of it like that. But we use email marketing to a good degree. We keep up with it. We make sure that we are utilizing it. There are other sort of ways that we are trialing and testing at the moment. That is not your traditional way. So one thing that I found recently, a company that reached out to me, and we're looking at doing a bit of WhatsApp marketing.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so it's a bit different. So it's not the same as your SMS and your email. Obviously, it's through WhatsApp. Again, it cuts through the noise because not many brands are doing that. And actually, you can be a bit more personalized on WhatsApp. We do abandoned checkouts. So if someone's abandoned checkout, they get a nice little WhatsApp message, but it gives them like a nice video of like what they left at the basket, and you can tailor it and have emojis and make it feel a bit more personal. So we're doing really well with email marketing, but as I said, I'm always looking for the new way of doing things. I'm just like obsessed with finding our own way of doing something. So
you don't want to just like fall into the standard ways.
So I've been looking at new ways, but WhatsApp marketing might be a good one.
Yeah, I've got a friend actually in America who does something similar to me, and we were going to do this whole presentation about like SMS marketing about 2 years ago, and like barely anyone signed up to it. So we were just like, it's on pause for now. But I think we're so behind America, because she was like, everyone should be doing this. Like, it's huge out there. And she gave me all of these examples of like people sending gifts and memes and just like really fun stuff through that. Like email, I think sometimes you feel like you've got to be quite rigid, and if that doesn't fit with your brand, like, I don't know, you can just be a bit more free.
Yeah, that's true. But I also think with emails, you get lost with everybody else. And as much as I do read my emails, I know my emails that I need to read and the ones that I don't need to read.
Like bulk delete.
Yeah, exactly. Like I know the ones that are important. So I don't want, people that are also like me who don't open their emails to then not find us. So I'm always thinking of the other way. Or the new way,
and everyone opens their WhatsApp.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And everyone opens their WhatsApp. So no escaping me.
No. It's like a threat.
Yeah, exactly. Open my message now or else.
And so going back to the paid side of things, then you said like you're still kind of finding your way with it. Does the majority of your sales still come from organic, or is it like a bit of a split between organic and paid?
I think it's a split at the moment. For the first 2 years, it was all organic. Yeah. And it was, we built it to 7 figures organically. I didn't spend a penny on paid.
That's so...
Which was amazing.
Yeah.
But then algorithm changes, times change. You have to, roll with the kind of with the waves, and we had to move over to a paid side of things. Our organic still does really well, but it's not the same as it used to be, and that's absolutely fine. We find new ways to make it work. But as you said about lingerie being quite a difficult industry, we have had our challenges on paid as well. It's not easy. I think a lot of the reasons why we get banned is not fair. I don't think it's right that we should be banned for selling a product that is in no way, my whole message was to step away from the hypersexualized marketing that most lingerie brands do. Yeah. And I'm everything but doing that. We use lingerie for self-care, and we want to promote that for women to feel confident. And I think for AI bots or whatever to be behind the screen saying no, and then when you do get in contact with a human in Meta, it's just no help either. Yeah, it's difficult. And I think there's a conversation to be had around this narrative. I think other women, especially other women that own even bikini brands, swimwear brands, they all go through the same thing. Yeah, but it's like a Calvin Klein campaign with a man in his boxers is absolutely fine,
Yeah. So annoying.
But we'll figure it out.
Yeah, I trust that you, if anyone's going to figure it out, I trust that you're going to do it.
Thank you.
Yeah. Use that RA level.
Exactly that.
So you mentioned about like social still doing well for you, and like it being a big driver. So let's talk a bit more about what makes you unique. Is it being a subscription model? And a huge part of your business must be customer acquisition and customer retention and looking at those numbers. Was that part of the spreadsheet that you ended up looking at when you were looking at your numbers?
There was a second spreadsheet then made. Yeah. So we kept the numbers to one side, and then we started dealing with, okay, cool. So
more like marketing numbers.
Absolutely. Yeah. So then we looked at sort of, okay, what is our kind of customer journey? How long do they stay for? What's the retention looking like? What's the churn looking like?
Yeah. And how would you describe churn for anyone that doesn't know?
So churn is the rate in which people will cancel or leave your subscription. And it's like based on a percentage. Don't quote me on
Don't worry, it's fine.
Percentage
how long people stay for.
Yeah, basically. So yeah, I've got another spreadsheet that deals with that. Yeah. We have our sort of lifetime average. We have anywhere from 3 to 9 months. Some people stay more, some people stay less. It kind of depends how much you need the lingerie. I mean, we have that dual subscription, which is you can either have monthly or quarterly depending on how often you want lingerie, but more people tend to go for monthly because they start to get FOMO. We find that a lot of the girls, they DM us and they're like, oh, I got the quarterly subscription, but I really loved that set you did before, and I wish I was there. So we tend to have them on the monthly. But I think the thing that has really, I think we're looking into ways, obviously, of increasing that retention. And one way that we've really been honing in on is looking into our ethos and really understanding, okay, cool. So Unndr is all about enhancing women's self-care routines. How can we really, really do that to the max so that you honestly don't think that you could, so you wouldn't think that you could live without us, essentially. And at the moment we have a model where we send women a bra, suspender belt and underwear. We get a little free gift. It might be a tea bag, a claw clip, a scrunchie, and then we have an information card which has the set on one side, and on the other side it has a motivational activity, which is great. And I think the boxes are perfect. They're that monthly dose, that treat that you need in your life, but how can we make that even better? And I think after doing a bit of customer research and finding out with those elements in the box, what do you kind of use the least, or what do you like the most, we understood that actually the suspender belt was something that not a lot of women were utilizing. And it kind of brought me to sort of sit down and think, okay, cool, that sort of makes sense, because actually the suspender belt doesn't really tie into the self-care narrative, really. So we're thinking of other ways to give women a different third gift that really ties into that self-care experience and making it even stronger to that ethos. So there's a couple of things that we're doing that I think then will in turn increase that retention and almost find us maybe an even a newer audience as well, because there might have been some women that weren't interested in the suspender belt.
Me.
Yeah, exactly.
Literally.
Right?
I feel like you're describing me. I'm like, oh, that's so cute, but I just wouldn't wear it.
You just
and I don't
wouldn't
want to pay for
wear
the
it.
box, and then what would I do with it? And
exactly. So that's a lot of the feedback we had. I think originally I started doing the suspender belt because it was almost what I was seeing when I was looking at most lingerie brands. But then, you know, I have to also look at my businesses. And as you said, I'm so different from everybody else. And, you know, it begged me to think of that question, actually, are you utilizing that suspender belt? And actually, I think it was about 70% of people that said that actually, you know, it's nice, but I don't really wear it. So I think it's about, thinking of other things that we can do to really enhance our ethos.
I mean, I made like a shocked face when you said 70, but actually I'm not really that shocked.
Yeah.
I'm like, who are these women wearing these every month? Like, really, maybe I need to up my game. I don't know. So you mentioned about like average customer lifetime in the subscription model and like planning to increase it. What do you think is the thing, like doing that market research, that does keep bringing customers back? Is it the FOMO, or is it the socials, or is it, I don't know, like what did you get from that customer feedback?
I think from the customer feedback, as you said, it was sort of all the things you said. It's a variety of reasons. It's the FOMO. It's that they love what's going on in socials. But I think what it comes down to is that they feel that they feel the ethos of the brand. They felt that they wanted something that was going to boost their confidence, and lingerie was the key to do that. But it was making that a regular habit for yourself to indulge in that self-care. And that's why, you know, that treat of lingerie every month sprinkled into your routine to remind you and give you that little nudge, like, hey, it's time to do that. That self-care routine you did that once.
You keep forgetting about.
You did it once 3 months ago, and then you just didn't do it again. And it's that feeling that we are giving to women that I feel that they really value. And I think, you know, I do a lot on socials to talk about the message, the brand, and what we do. But I think, you know, the reason we've built it to be what it is so far is that actually the women really feel that message, and we have solved something that was missing in the market, and something that was quite unique, but it was missing.
I know. And if somebody was like, oh, I just want that one set, are you able to buy one set? Or you are?
Yeah. So we've got the collection on the website too. So I almost have sort of two streams of income via Unndr. It's via the subscriptions, and then once the set is released, it then goes on the collection page, and then you can buy as a one-off. Sometimes we have girls who are on the subscription. They buy the gift for their besties. They buy some, or they might buy a set that they were not subscribed to a few months ago. So it's varying reasons, but yeah, I've got the two there.
Yeah, and lingerie is probably one of the hardest product types that somebody can start, especially not coming from a lingerie background as well, because you've got the bra and the underwear and then the suspender belt, obviously, would all work on different sizing, and then there's so many sizes to do as well. So how have you dealt with that, the fact that, I don't know, there is diversity and inclusivity to the max when it comes to underwear?
It's so funny because when I started Unndr, you know, there was just a whole level of naivety, you know. I didn't understand the difficulty of this business, hence why when we grew really quickly I really felt those pain points, sizing being one of them. And once we started making those mistakes, we understood what we needed to know from those mistakes. So as much as the mistakes were difficult, they were the reason why we could be in this position that we are today, and it taught us a lot. And I think when we now design our lingerie, we're very mindful of the concerns that women have had over the months where maybe the sizing wasn't to perfection. We do things like at the back, for example, we have women of varying, you know, back sizes, and maybe varying cup sizes as well. And one of the struggles that we have tend to be a smaller back size, but then with a larger cup. So what we find has helped that is in the back of our bras, we've then put in like a double. Instead of having a like one band, we've split the band into sort of two elasticated sort of panels, and it allows for that stretch, but also for it to then also sort of go like in and sort of retract. That's the word. Sorry,
no,
I'm trying to be
I can see
mechanical
what you're doing with your hands, so I know what you mean.
But we've put in integrations, if you want to call it that, into the bras, which have really helped the sizing. And you know, we've even put sort of double cushion layers into the bra straps.
Nice.
Like we're really listening to what the women have been saying, and I want to be able to perfect this so badly that I have honestly become an engineer, I think, in lingerie, if that's even a thing. And me and the girls have been coming up with ways that I don't even think bras are like that on the market, some of the ways that we're doing things. So I think it's just about listening and knowing that there is actually a solution to everything if you look hard enough.
And you go around the hard way sometimes as well. I think some people just always go the easy route, and actually you've made it look beautiful and it feels nice and it looks nice, like all of it. You can have it all.
You can.
And if somebody was to start a subscription model, what would you tell them, or what would you tell Sophia of like a few years ago? Remember to do this.
I would tell Sophia, or anybody out there thinking to start a subscription, that a recurring revenue model is not as sexy as it sounds. It comes with a lot of challenges, cash flow being one of them. But secondly, I think if you are going to start a subscription business, you have to know that there is a need for that thing that you're trying to solve. Because if there's not, then you're not going to have people subscribe, and then they're just going to leave. So, you know, you want to make sure that actually with this subscription that you start, it is solving that problem, and it is actually something that is more than just the product. For us, you know, with Unndr, we're more than just lingerie. We are solving confidence issues in a lot of women, and we're really helping them take their self-care routine to the next level. And wellness is a huge industry to be in right now. In 2025 and beyond, I think wellness is going to be like
that's
the
not
next
going anywhere.
It's not going anywhere. If anything, it's gonna be more.
Yeah,
it's gonna be absolutely crazy. So I think,
especially with screen time. And
we all want to be able to be the best versions of ourselves, and I think that we really value our mental health, we really value our well-being, and I think that is so important, and I'm so happy that is that's what everybody's into these days, and it's something that we should be into. So oh god, there's like so many things you could go into, isn't there, with that subscription. I think that's so true. It's not as sexy as it sounds. It's not as sexy as it sounds.
No. And what would you say is next for you and Unndr?
What's next? That's what I was doing this morning in my bed when I should have been at the gym. I was like, what is next for me? No, I think I've cracked this lingerie subscription very nicely, and I'm very happy with the trajectory of where we are going with Unndr. But I also want to be able to move to the next stage of Unndr as well, and really make this world out of this brand and give women more things that are going to increase their wellness, increase their well-being, their self-care routines, and to build out other products that are not necessarily just lingerie, and to build this empire that ultimately is your wellness and self-care hub in the form of Unndr. And I really want to be known as more than just a lingerie subscription. I think that we can be so much bigger than that, and I think we're only just getting started as well.
I think you really can, because you don't always talk about the product. It's almost like this algorithm thing about banning you has been your saving grace, in the sense that you're forced to talk around the product as well, and you're forced to talk about your ethos. And there's that theory about, like, when you have a really strong why, you can sell anything. So if Apple were to release a bottle of water tomorrow, you would probably try it. Even though it's a computer company. Whereas if Microsoft launched a bottle of water, you wouldn't buy it, because it is just a computer company. And so I think you could sell lots of other things, because as long as it links to that ethos. That's why I always tell people, like, don't just vote. Like, obviously talk about the product and, like, find that balance, but talk about the product. You almost imagine it like a dartboard. Like, you throw in the middle sometimes, but if it lands around, like, you can talk about the product and around the product as well, because that's why people follow you. Okay, so, like, somebody might buy from you because they like your product, but they'll follow you because they also like all the other stuff as well.
That's so true.
I know. So what are you most excited about for the next, like, 12? If everything went like the dream, if you went to bed tonight and was like, oh my God, I can't believe, it's just a dream. But actually it happened. Like, what would that be? What would that thing be?
First and foremost, I think my well-being and mental being would be in an amazing place. I think, this year in 2025, I've really made it my mission to prioritize my well-being and my mental health. The gym, yes. I actually don't start working until midday every day. My team understand that. They crack on in the morning. I do what I need to do in the morning, whether that's meditating, go to the gym, make sure that I'm in my thoughts, journaling, ticking off what I want to achieve, my goals, and it puts me in the best headspace to then get into my business and make sure that I'm showing up as the best version of myself for my brand. So me being in an optimum place would be amazing. And I also think having a few of those additional products in the mix, as I was saying before, and just having it be a success as well, and actually it resonating with the women, and us slowly being known as more of a wellness brand, and really solidifying ourselves in that space.
Because you've even been doing, like, I saw you did some sort of like Pilates collab,
Yeah.
bit, like that sort of stuff.
Yeah, exactly that.
Yeah, I love it.
You've almost sort of hinted to pretty much what might be coming in like 2 months. But we also, I love doing events as well with the community.
Yeah, it was so cute.
I
Like,
take the
make it
subscription
look nice.
I take the subscription outside of just the boxes. I love to
Yeah.
meet the women in real life.
Quite literally thinking outside the box.
Absolutely. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so quick fire then.
Yes.
You kind of answered it actually. Like what your morning ritual is or your first task of the day. What's the very first thing that you do?
Very
when you wake up,
first thing.
apart from having a wee.
Or brush your teeth.
Or brush your teeth, yeah.
I open the window.
Yes. Oh my God, me too. I look
Do
out the
you?
window. Yeah.
I
have to
tend
look out
to
the
open
window
it.
before I look at my phone.
Yes, same.
Yeah.
I tend to open it. I want to feel the air in my lungs as soon as I wake up. It doesn't matter if it's summer, if it's winter. If it's winter's a bit, don't really want to do it. But I just like feeling at one with,
the real world before you go on to like pretend world.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you've got all this stagnant air in your lungs as well. You need to like get it out.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm asthmatic, so
It's
I'm like,
very
it's
good
actually
reason.
very beneficial for my lungs. It's actually really good.
And apart from Unndr, what's a brand that you're loving right now?
Represent.
Oh, good one.
I love what they're doing. I think George is an absolute, both the brothers, but I follow George the most because he documents everything he's doing and all his running and he has really prioritized his well-being to the max.
Yeah, he really has.
To the max.
And like a 12 pack or something.
Honestly, that. And I just think that the way he has his work-life balance is inspirational. I think the brand is incredible. They've started doing women's wear now as well, and the women's wear is actually really nice.
Yeah.
So we'll be purchasing. But I really respect his hustle, their hustle. I really respect that they understood that, it takes 10 years to become an overnight success, and he always says that, and I think that's so true. I think it takes time to carve your lane out and to carve yourself out in the world of business and to stand the stead of time.
Yeah. I think he runs the business in a similar way to you as well. Like he is very creative, and like the business kind of things doesn't come as naturally as like the artistic side of things. So I can see why you resonate with him.
Yeah.
And what is, you talked so much about confidence today. I guess your go-to confidence boost would be great lingerie.
Great lingerie. But I actually, another thought that came to my head that wasn't lingerie.
Yeah.
Probably because I think about lingerie all the time. For me now, it's a given. But for me, it's actually a good pair of shoes. I love to wear a good pair of shoes. That's such a confidence boost for me as well.
Yeah.
Oh, a good lingerie set with a nice pair of shoes. Have them together.
Yeah. The perfect combo.
The perfect combo.
Oh, well, thank you so much. Thank you for being so honest and so open as well. I'm sure lots of people would be like nodding silently, like walking their dog or driving their car, like, yep, that sounds like me. So if you love this chat, please go follow or leave a review. And if you've got a question for a future guest, then you can join my broadcast channel on Instagram and we can chat over there. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Fashion founders, let's talk about something your brand can't exist without. Words. You already know your designs are incredible and your vision is clear, but something is missing. If you're feeling invisible in the fashion world, struggling to sound consistent across platforms, or feeling fed up not knowing what to say in your marketing, then you need the Visionary, the ultimate brand voice masterclass by Studio C. Led by Studio C founder Charlotte Ferris, this on-demand masterclass harnesses a decade of experience to guide you through all things brand voice so you can shape your signature sound and transform casual followers into loyal customers. What you say and how you say it is infinitely powerful. Mastering your brand voice isn't just about writing better, it's about building a voice that's unmistakably yours, one that speaks authentically and connects you endlessly to your dream customers. I know firsthand how fundamental finding your brand voice is, which is why I worked with Studio C to write the copy for my website back when I first became a fashion brand consultant. So if you're ready to make your fashion brand stand out, head to studioc.uk today to join the Visionary, the ultimate brand voice masterclass, and get ready for your brand to break through the noise.